Imagine a city where the walls gleam with gold, the temples are brighter than the sun, and the rivers shimmer with treasure. I'm pretty sure you've heard this story before: the legend of El Dorado, the lost city of gold. For centuries, explorers, conquistadors, and even kings poured fortunes and lives into chasing it. But was El Dorado ever real? Or was it the world's longest, deadliest wild goose chase? Today we're going to dive deep into the jungles, the rivers, and the dusty pages of history to sort of uncover the truth behind one of the greatest legends humanity has ever told. The legend of El Dorado began not with a city, but with a man. Early Spanish explorers arriving in South America in the 1500s heard tales of a chief who would cover his body in powdered gold before sacred ceremonies. He would then sail into the middle of the lake, dive in, and wash it all off, while his people threw emeralds, jewelry, and golden artifacts into the water as offerings. This wasn't a fairy tale. This was a real ritual practiced by the Muisca people of what is now Colombia. The Spanish, fascinated and obsessed with wealth, called this figure El Hombre Dorado, the Golden Man. Over time, that phrase shortened and shifted into El Dorado, the Golden One. But, like all good stories, it didn't stay small for long. A man became a city became an empire, and by the time the legend spread across Europe, El Dorado was believed to be nothing less than a lost kingdom overflowing with unimaginable riches. The Spanish Empire was hungry. They had already conquered the Aztecs in Mexico and the Incas in Peru, both civilizations overflowing with wealth. So when they heard whispers of a golden king and some hidden city somewhere in the uncharted interior of South America, they just couldn't resist. In 1541, Gonzalo Pizarro, who was the brother of Francisco Pizarro, the man who brought down the Inca Empire, set out on one of the first major expeditions. He brought with him hundreds of men, horses, and supplies, and he was determined to find this golden paradise. The journey quickly became a nightmare. Dense jungle, constant rain, starvation, and disease tore through the expedition. Men abandoned armor because it was too heavy to carry, horses died in the mud, and Pizarro eventually sent Francisco de Orellana downriver with a small group to look for food and gold. Orellana never came back. Not because he died, but because he accidentally discovered and sailed the entire Amazon River to the Atlantic Ocean. It was a historic journey, but not the one they set out for. El Dorado remained hidden, and hundreds of men were lost. But instead of discouraging further searches, the story of El Dorado grew even stronger. Every expedition that failed only added to the legend, because rumors spread that the city was just beyond where the explorers had stopped. If only they had gone a little further, they would have found it. That wasn't just Spain. The legend of El Dorado soon captured the imagination of other European powers. In the late 1500s, the English explorer Sir Walter Raleigh became one of the most famous hunters of the City of Gold. He believed El Dorado lay in the jungles of modern-day Venezuela, near the Orinoco River. Raleigh wrote a book describing this supposed riches of the city, claiming it was bigger and wealthier than any in Europe. His descriptions fired up imaginations back home. Investors, nobles, and even the Queen of England herself were intrigued. But Raleigh's grand promises came at a cost. His expedition faced disease, hunger, and hostility from locals, and ultimately found no golden city. Still, Raleigh returned to England with stories of shining temples and streets paved with treasures, making El Dorado even more believable to those who wanted to believe. Years later, desperate to restore his reputation and avoid execution for treason, Raleigh convinced the Crown to let him launch another expedition. This time, things went even worse. His men clashed violently with the Spanish, and Raleigh's son was even killed in this fighting. When Raleigh returned to England empty-handed, the king had him executed. His head may have rolled, but the legend of El Dorado lived on. If El Dorado was inspired by the Muisca people's rituals, then the heart of the story lies at the Lake Guatavita in Colombia. For centuries, locals performed the famous Golden Man ceremony there. The lake became the focus of countless treasure hunts. Spanish colonists tried to even drain it in the 1500s by cutting a massive trench into its side. They managed to lower the water level and recovered some gold, but the trench collapsed, drowning many workers and swallowing the treasure with it. Later attempts in the 19th and 20th centuries used pumps and more modern engineering, and more artifacts were even found, but never the vast golden hoard that the explorers dreamt of. Archaeologists did, however, uncover a breathtaking artifact known as the Muska raft. It's a small golden sculpture showing a king standing on a raft, surrounded by its attendants. A clear depiction of the very ritual that gave birth to the legend of El Dorado. It's solid proof that there was truth at the heart of the story, but also proof that Europeans had misunderstood it completely. The ritual was about devotion, not riches beyond measure. The hunt for El Dorado reshaped South America. Entire expeditions vanished into the rainforest, never to be seen again. Maps were filled with rivers, mountains, and settlements as desperate explorers searched further and further. Thousands of indigenous people were enslaved or killed by conquistadors looking for treasures that never existed. In many ways, the true legacy of El Dorado isn't gold, but blood. Yet, ironically, the legend did lead to real discoveries. Like we said earlier, the Amazon River's full length was mapped out. Countless new species of plants and animals were documented, and more trade routes were established where none had existed before. El Dorado may not have been real, but its pursuit permanently changed the history of exploration. Even today, the story hasn't died. Treasure hunters still dive in Lake Guatavita hoping to find more offerings. Others argue that El Dorado was never a single city, but a sort of combination of stories from multiple wealthy tribes. Some even believe caches of treasure could still be hidden in unexplored corners of the Amazon. After all, vast stretches of the jungle remain untouched, and new ancient ruins are still being discovered with satellite technology and LiDAR scans. I'm pretty sure that while there's no golden metropolis waiting for us, the mystery of what lies beneath the jungle canopy will keep fueling curiosity for centuries to come. So, what do you think? Was El Dorado ever real? Or was it just the ultimate mirage? Let me know down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this journey, make sure to like and subscribe, because the next legend we uncover might just be even greater than a city of gold.